I'm not even going to attempt to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you a white lie. I'm not going to tell you a partial lie. The truth is, this was likely the worst season y'all will have in the last 5 years.
Get out the field! It's not outside! It's not outside! Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, Bills, mafia, yeah. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Want me now listen, everyone play their position. Buffalo got a tradition, they say we trippin'. They better get out our way. Top of the table, we flippin'. We on a mission, got an unstoppable team. Continue to follow your dream, by any means. Buffalo, get in the Super Bowl ring. Cause we the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, Bills, mafia, yeah. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Mafia up in your city, time to get gritty. Screaming and yelling, we bugging. Look at the red and blue.
This is an MVP year for Josh Allen. As an MVP voter, I said this last week. Josh Allen, he looks like an MVP. When you vote for MVP, and I can speak for myself, I think I'm one of 50 voters, you look at a couple things. Who's the best team in football? Who's the best player on that team in football? What do they look like as the best player on that team in football? And how much talent is around that best player on that best team in football?
And a good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Coast to Coast podcast. I am your co-host, Beyond 716, and you may be wondering, where is Whittle? Well, unfortunately, our good friend, the one that we call, the great one, as we have a lot of great nicknames for Whittle, is a little under the weather. So tonight, we are coast to mid-coast tonight. How about Midwest? We're coast to Midwest tonight. We are joined by the one and only Patrick Brunkness. You are the man. You are a fixture here at Do Champions, representing us from the central part of the country. So welcome.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you having me on, Beyond, and I hope Whittle feels better and he gets well soon, because we're going to need him, especially for this run that we need the Bills to go on.
Absolutely. And maybe it's the way that the actual Bills have been playing in terms of how they've looked over the last couple of weeks. Maybe Whittle just needs some time off, or maybe he's upset that the Knicks look so good. But I'll troll him next week. We'll save it for another week. Of course, I already could see an eye roll from Whittle already if he's listening at home. So Whittle's looking a little pale tonight. Steve, Whittle is, and Whittle has also lost about 15, 20 years of age here. He's going backwards now. So so he's always here in spirit. So we press on it, and I promise you we're going to make a great show tonight. But Patrick, how we want to start our show tonight, usually we get into a lot of breakdowns, and Whittle forgets more about football sometimes than I know when it comes to coverages, when it comes to things he sees going into the film room. But I want to do a real pressing need, I feel, with this team right now. And it stems from our fan base, right? And a lot of us here, I know Steve in our chat, he's a guy on Twitter a lot. You're on Twitter a lot. I'm on Twitter. Social media, we're all over the place. The temperature of this fan base right now is in a very unique place that, we've been on this trajectory really since 2018, right? We started with Josh Allen. 2019 was an exciting year. And now we've been in this sort of 4 or 5 year window where it's been a lot of fun, a lot of heartbreak, but we still had that positive energy. And there's Dog. What's up, Dog? Great to see you here. Great to see you as well, Steve.
My man, Dog.
Oh, he's the best. Dog is like in mid-season form in May. Like he's always ready to go. So he brings the energy every single time. But I feel like we've seen this from the Bills before, right? We've seen these dips in October. We've seen these things, but I feel like the temperature feels different this year than years past. Do you kind of sense that, or give me your overall thoughts of what you're feeling in terms of just the fan base, in terms of the negativity level being at a higher pitch?
Yeah, see, dog right here says, Pat, what's good? What's good, dog? Hope you're doing well. And when I look at this Bills team compared to, even last year, because I heard a fun fact the other day. It was the Bills have lost 2 games in a row under Sean McDermott in each year. Sure, does it feel a little bit different this year? Yes, because looking back at that Atlanta game, it was very hard defensively in the first half, right? And our first drive of the game looks really well. We have been good on opening drives so far this year. But it seems like after that, we have really we haven't been moving the ball well the last 3 weeks. We in that span we played the Saints, the Patriots, and the Falcons. Yes, we beat the Saints, and it's not always going to be pretty. You're going to have those tough games, but you would have loved to see it be a little bit more easier on Josh, because in that second half, when it felt like Spencer Rattler was starting to warm up and the Bills' offense was starting to warm up, it came down to the 2 quarterbacks. It felt like Josh Allen has had to put on his cape in that game. That Patriots game, they contained Josh. And that's going to happen sometimes where, Beyond, me and you talk about it all the time, where we need Josh Allen to be a B minus. He wasn't in that game. He was a C minus. Sure, is that because of the receivers? Sure, but Josh Allen has to take his part in that too. And then going into the Atlanta game, they just blitzed us. They did not respect our receivers enough. Our receivers were not getting separation. And throughout the week, heading into that game, I felt like that was going to be the Josh Palmer game. The guy that is a natural separator, but then he went out of the game early. And obviously before that, he had that huge 46-yard reception to start the game. I felt like missing him really hurt us in that game. But overall, I feel like we're in the same boat that we were last year, where coming off that Baltimore-Houston game, where we lost both those games, and especially that Houston game, you saw our offense was missing a wide receiver to take everything off, Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman, open them up. Kind of then we traded for Amari Cooper. And I feel like we are in the same boat once again this year. Defense, I'm not worried about, but offensively, it's either somebody has to be the guy, or we got to trade for somebody to make things easier.
Yep. No, absolutely. And, maybe we do feel that. I feel like there are multiple holes this year. That's probably the one difference I see from now, let's say 2022, 2023, where I think we're kind of in unison on things we identified as needs, right? We have needs at safety. We have needs at corner. And then some of this is because of injuries, unfortunately. So is the solution in the room, right? As I'm going to throw this out for to get our Sabre guy here, Steve. Terry Pagula's infamous quote about the Sabres, that the solution is within the room. So, I'll put that over to the Bills. Is the solution in the room when it comes to the cornerback room? Is the solution in the room when it comes to the safeties? But we got to also remember a couple things. Cap space is tight. Right now, I know cap space sometimes an illusion in this league. You can do void years. You could do, there's guys like Massari. There's other guys out there that know more about that than I do. But we all know there are cap gymnastics you could play to make that happen. But if you had to identify, let's say there's one thing the Bills got to get. Let's say at the deadline, either between now and the deadline, what's the one position you want to see upgraded the most that's not currently on the roster?
I really love that saying, is the solution in the room. And when I look at their defense, I think the solution is in the room with Maxwell Harrison coming back, Larry Ogunjobi coming back from his suspension, and Michael Hoyt coming back from his suspension. But there's one guy that a lot of people are not talking about, and that's Jordan Poyer. When he came in that second half for the injured Cole Bishop, our defense looked good. And I believe we only allowed 3 points in the second half.
We did.
And
also,
he was making some plays.
Absolutely. Now, a small sample size, but yet encouraging, right? And it goes to show you that, yes, Poyer's lost some speed. We know that he's not the same Jordan Poyer. But it's that, for you Madden players, and hey, Pat does a great, right? You do a great Madden show. What is the one stat that they have? It's called awareness, right? Yes. Awareness for Jordan Poyer is off the charts, right? Probably in the 90s, right? Or high 80s, right? Where he understands everything about the Bills 4-2-5 scheme, that McDermott runs. to a T, he could be that quarterback out there to help
Right.
some of these younger guys, these newer pieces that are trying to figure this out, and also in practice. So I think, we'll see some tangible results from that. Sorry, as my phone goes
No,
crazy.
that's fine.
So anyway, I usually, but I'm in
Oh,
preseason for him today, as you could tell.
preseason
So
mode. You're in bye
yeah,
week. You
I
gotta
know.
wait. You gotta shake
I
off
know.
the bye week.
I know. I got to shake
Go
off this
time.
bye week. By the way, that's another thing too. Does it feels like this is the longest bye week for the Bills in a long time? I'm not sure if you're all feeling out there in our listeners right now. If you guys are in the chat, this bye week, when you lose two in a row, and the way that we have, feels like forever because everything's magnified. You see what's going on around the league, and we're going to get into that in a second about that. But I guess, about that one position, because I know I got off topic a
Yeah,
little bit. Sorry for that, as I usually do.
that's fine.
What would you target? Let's say if you had to make a deal for whatever cap room we have left. Don't worry about draft picks. It could be anything. It's really not about that. We can make it work, but where would you target and why? And I want to
I'm
open that
talking.
up to anybody listening as well.
All right, yeah, I would target the wide receiver room for the fact of we know what this defense is. We got, like I said, we have guys like Maxwell Harrison coming back, Larry Ogunjobi, and Michael
Hmm.
Hoyt, and now with Jordan Poyer looking that he's going to be the starter this weekend. Maybe we'll see, but it was an encouraging sign seeing what he was able to do with the defense and slowing the game down for everybody else, and that's what we needed. I felt like so I'm targeting wide
Hmm.
receiver for the fact of looking. We know we know what we're going to get out of the Sean McDermott, defensive scheme and Bobby Babish calling the plays. We know what we're going to get defensively.
Hmm.
So I'm looking at it offensively. Your offense has struggled the last 2-3 weeks to say, and some people might go even a little bit further than that. So I'm looking
Hmm.
at guys like Jacoby Myers, a guy where he kind of fits that everybody eats, mindset of, yeah, you're going to get the ball, but you're also going
Hmm.
to help open up other guys, kind of like what Amari Cooper did for us last year. Because after we
Yep.
traded for Amari Cooper, we saw our offense take the next step that it needed, which
Yep.
obviously led us to an AFC championship berth. So I'm looking at
Yep.
the receiver room because I feel like we're in the same exact boat as last year.
Absolutely. I believe right now, we've played 6 games, right? So Keon Coleman
Yep.
is averaging 4. He's on pace in terms of receptions for 68 catches, which is not bad, actually. Like, I
No.
believe if a lot of us said going into the season that Keon Coleman would have 68 receptions, pretty solid. I would expect him more in the 50s. I think we probably want Keon Coleman to be a little bit more of a big play guy, especially in the red zone, even if it does sacrifice a few receptions, and we have more of that alpha on the outside. Something I learned in the bye week. Did you any of you watch? If you any of you watched that Cincinnati Pittsburgh game on Thursday night, and Herb Street brought up some great points. Jamar Chase, the best receiver in the league. I don't think that's up for debate, right? I think we could all agree. Don't like the Bengals, although you jokingly accused me, but I'll,
Yeah,
I'll
you're a
leave that
Bengals
alone
fan.
for the. Yeah, listen, I'm about to jump to the screen, okay? Now, so anyway, but I believe Flacco had a deep pass. I believe that the kid they got from Princeton. I can never pronounce his last name. Starts with an I. I can't remember who
Oh,
the Bengals
Andre.
had. Andre
I know who you're
Eagle
talking.
Lovis, yeah.
Yes.
So he,
Yes.
he threw a deep ball to him, and all Herb Street was obsessed about is look at the attention that Jamar Chase gets from the safety that comes down, and it opens it up to where a guy like a Palmer can get down the field, right? Like a guy, and we got to remember, why do you think Gabe Davis, folks, had a 4 touchdown game in the playoffs against the Chiefs? Who do you think was partly responsible for that? Now, this is a guy that didn't have a lot of stats, but if you don't think Stephon Diggs was taking attention away to help a guy like Gabe Davis, you're probably wrong, right? Even
Oh
if
no, yeah,
even
he
if a
was.
guy like Diggs isn't producing in those spots, it's something. You and I talk about this a lot in baseball, right? When you have that
Yep.
cleanup hitter, right? You have that guy that you just have to account for. Aaron Judge, right? Kyle Tucker. Hope you guys sign him.
Yeah,
Someone
hopefully.
like that, right? But it's that guy that kind of sets the tone for the rest of the roster, makes everybody else better. And I think that's what the Bills are missing. Like, who's that guy that defensive coordinators say, okay, that's a guy I got to be concerned about. Opens things up for the long passing game. So I'm in agreement with you on the wide receiver. Is Jacoby Myers a guy that moves the meter for, let's say, you or anybody else out there that's in our chat? Is Jacoby
Well,
Myers that guy that moves that needle for you?
I think he will command more. He would demand more respect from defenses than what we currently have. Because right now, Keon Coleman is not really winning on the outside, and now with Josh Palmer being out, with him dealing with a high ankle sprain, he's week to week. And we know we're gonna get a Khalil Shakir, which he's been above average in the separation department, but I still think though teams will be like, okay, the Bills got Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers hasn't had a good quarterback in quite some time. Where kind of like Amari Cooper in a way, he's towards the tail end of his career, but he's an established receiver. You know what you're gonna get out of Jacoby Myers. So I feel like that would help us in a way. But if I had the choice, I'm looking at guys like Jalen Waddle, which Brandon Bean said it before, and after we made that trade with Kansas City, a lot of fans think, oh, why did you trade with this team? They don't think about it that way. They think about, okay, we're getting this, you guys are getting this. Now rebuild. That team is a disaster. That's a dumpster fire. Or, I know I heard something after last week after the Saints played that the Saints are trying to work out an extension with Chris Olave. If they cannot work out a extension with Chris Olave, I'm looking at Chris Olave, and I'm looking at Rashid Shaheed.
Love that name, by the way. Yeah, yes. One of my favorite names in the league.
It's a tongue twister too.
Yeah, it is. It just rolls right. Rashid Shaheed. I love it. It's great.
Oh yeah, Rashid.
But yeah, I'll tell you what. I mean, Jalen Waddle would be something, and and I agree with what Dog says. We need burners, field stretchers. We need those guys that again that defensive coordinators and safeties have to account for to say, shoot, I got to look at that guy. And I got to count for him. Even though Amari Cooper wasn't super productive for us, he was kind of what that guy. He kind of gave us a little reminder of what a guy like Diggs can do, even if he doesn't produce. Right? He's just there, right? And it opened things up. You saw what happened to our offense after we made that trade. So everybody eats is a great thing, but again, sometimes we intermittent fast during this time, and we've been doing that a little too often in this everybody eats mentality.
Yeah.
And as far as the offense goes, you said something about Josh Allen that Whittle. This is one thing why I love. There's many reasons why I love doing the pod with Whittle, right? But the thing that we do on our pod is we're not afraid to take shots at number 17. Okay,
right.
Josh Allen is a great generational player. Josh Allen may go down as the greatest Buffalo Bill of all time, but it doesn't mean he's immune from critique. You don't have to rip him and get personal with it or anything. Like, you remember after people say, oh, he says I'm more than a football player, so that means he's not committed. How ridiculous were those takes?
Yeah, that's ridiculous, right? Because I mean, there is more life after football, and he still wants to win a Super Bowl. That doesn't change.
No, he has to be in the film room 24/7. Breathing, sleep football. 3 a.m. he must be reading game film. But what I'm saying is that it doesn't mean he doesn't connect. He doesn't want to win for the Bills. His will to win is unquestioned. But let's be honest. The last couple of weeks, he has been spotty. He has not been good. He has not been the franchise quarterback that we're used to. And it's okay calling out. Does it mean he's never going to recover? No. And and this is something else that Steve brings up, and this is another interesting point about the passing game. Bills running backs have 17 receptions all year and 3 in the last 2 losses. That last point is very interesting. We've struggled the last couple of weeks. Remember we were getting Ty Johnson involved more last year, exactly. Right? Ray Davis, where is it?
See, and that's what I don't get either, because when I look at, what this offense looks like last year with Amari Cooper and even without Amari Cooper before we traded for him, I saw us, using the running backs, going back to that week 2 game against Miami in Miami, where James Cook came out of the backfield and then motioned all the way to the left and ran a wheel route, and Josh Allen connected with him for like a 20-yard touchdown. Where are these plays that, especially on 3rd down against Detroit, where the Ty Johnson catches that beautiful ball by Josh Allen? Why are we not showing this? Are we trying to play like Kansas City in a way where you just win and, kind of like play for the playoffs? But again, you can't make the playoffs in October, but you can not make the playoffs in October.
This is true.
You have to win. So I may just show the hand a little bit. I'm not trying to say the Bills are holding anything back, but it kind of looks that way. Because why else are you not using your running backs? And with Joe Brady's comment saying, we have 2 good running backs, we have 2 other good running backs, why are we not using them? James Cook is running the rock well. Why go away from it?
Yeah, and the other thing is, my big thing is everybody says, well, we need to use James Cook more. I'm not going to completely, in terms of the running game, I kind of disagree. We have a total of 24 carries from Ray Davis and Ty Johnson in six games. It's 4 game. It's not enough. You
No.
see other teams like you saw. Look how great Bijan Robinson is. But did you see his backup? How many carries did Aguilar get? About 10, 11 that game, right? Like I want to see a 6, 7 carry guy to come in consistently every week and help supplant James Cook. Maybe we get James Cook more touches in the passing game, and maybe we don't run him between the tackles as much. Maybe we do it that way. But we need that number 2 running back again for a lot of reasons. Heaven forbid something happens to Cook. You want to have that confidence another guy could come in. That's one thing, right? So
Right.
they either have to find is a solution in the room with Ray Davis or Ty Johnson. I think it's going to have to be. And this is something that Dog has talked about here. Coaching has let us down. Always said in the spaces, I'll be looking at coaching and development. I think there's starting to be some truth to that. Now, overall, has Sean McDermott been an excellent coach of the Bills? You betcha he has. He's done a lot of great things. But, it has been, this is now what, year 8 or year 9 for McDermott at this point? Year 9, I
This
believe?
is year 9, yes.
Year 9. Now, that seat has to be getting a little warmer right now. And this is something that, in those spaces, we saw some others that I thought were a little premature about that talk. And I said, hey, let's table it for a couple of years. Well, we're at that couple of years now. Right. I mean, we're not going to have a conversation here about whether we should fire McDermott, get rid of, because we know that's not going to happen in the season. It's just not. I mean, if Mike McDaniel hasn't been fired, nobody's getting fired. Okay. So,
exactly. That guy's job security is insane. I wish I had that job security.
Yeah. Right. Like, what's going on? No. All right. I mean, but the thing of it is, that's a conversation that, if we come back on this show in March, we may be having that conversation or late January, February. Let's hope not, but we could. So we'll have to see, how that goes. But I agree with what Dog's saying. I'm a little sketchy on Babbage. I like him, but I kind of wish we had a little more experienced type of Nick Fangino type coordinator there.
Yes.
And this is a good point too. Love McDaniel for OC. That I would not mind, Dog. I would not be opposed to it. Some guys are just better coordinators, and there's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody's a leader of men. But like for example, like I'm not the manager type in my job role. I'm not that kind of guy. It's just not my DNA to do that. But that doesn't mean, there's some, like, my manager's well suited for that role because she's phenomenal at it. That's not my cup of tea. I work on other things in a senior role. Like, you know what I mean? So same thing with McDaniel. McDaniel's just not a guy that you look at and you say, I'm really inspired by that guy. Right. And And McDermott, I think, is an excellent coach. This is the dilemma with McDermott, right? And I'm sure Dog will back me up on this.
Yep.
It always goes to who are you going to get, right? Who are we getting, right? Who's out there? I don't see Sean McVay leaving Los Angeles anytime soon. I don't see.
Well,
right?
I've heard a few names out there where somebody says, "Oh, the Giants fired Brian Dable, the Bills fired Sean McDermott. We bring in Brian Dable."
Have you seen some of Brian Dable's interesting coaching decisions over the last couple of years, especially this past Sunday?
Not this past Sunday I did, but against the Chiefs back in week 3 I did, or week 4.
Let me tell you, I would have if I owned the Giants, I would have considered firing him after that game on Sunday.
Really? Was it that bad? See, I was watching the Bears Saints game for the
yes. Now, in my opinion, what's funny about Dable is this guy has lived off this. Now, listen, did he do a good job with Josh? Yes. Okay.
Well, yeah.
But is this guy remember when Dable left, Josh was supposed to go right in the toilet and he's going to sink and that's it. We're done. It was all day Brian Dable's scheme. Well, no, it wasn't. Okay. Not to say Brian Dable is a good coach, but is he better head coach than Sean McDermott? I don't know that. I'm not so sure. But that could happen. I could see it because he's a Buffalo guy, but do I dare say Bill Belichick? I'm not going down that road anymore. I was going down that road about 2 years ago, but I'm not going down that road anymore.
No. Here's the interesting point that I just thought about. Josh Allen kind of took that next step without Brian Dable. Look what Daniel Jones is doing right now. Coincidence?
That's true.
Maybe it's a coincidence. I don't know. It's a little.
Yeah. Yep. And I like this point right here for Steve, and I like this point right here by Dog. I like Dable for his accountability. He holds people accountable. That I agree with, Dog. And the thing with the Giants is As far as, like I said, he had a terrible game on Sunday. We'll analyze him by the end of the year into next year. Let's give him
Right.
that. He's got a new quarterback. He's got Scattaboo and Dart. They're going to be fun. I
They're
mean, they're
so
going to be a
fun to
fun watch
watch.
every week. Yeah,
They're so fun to
I
watch.
mean, Dart has a little bit of Dart's got a little bit of Josh and Flutie in him, which is kind of weird. Like, there's something about that guy when he comes in the game, he just energized that whole franchise.
Right, he has that swagger.
Yep, yep. If I'm the
Yeah.
Giants, and not to make this a Giant show, what I would do, I would get rid of Russell Wilson as soon as possible. I would extend uh Jameis Winston for 4 or 5 years. I would give him $10 million a year to be my backup because I got my quarter back under a rookie deal. I want
yeah.
Jameis Winston and him jive. Jameis Winston's become like the consummate teammate, right? So you put him behind there, and you got yourself a heck of a tandem there for the next 4 or 5 years. But anyway, yep, Josh took the next step with Jordan Palmer.
That's
Dog,
very true.
let's bring that up again because it's so good.
Spot on.
Because
So good.
yeah, and Josh took steps for many, many reasons. Now, again, but what separates the Josh Allen from the Patrick Mahomes? It's like this, folks. But that little bit that we're talking about, this itty bit, is there something that Josh is missing? Now, he has openly said he doesn't like watching game film. He does it, but he doesn't love it. In fact, again, sometimes there are just little things that I wish Josh would do better sometimes, but I think that's also because Kansas City has Andy Reid, they have Steve Spagnuolo. Like Dog said, look at the difference in coaching between our two teams. No offense to McDermott and Bobby Babich, I'm not getting those two confused with Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo. Not anytime soon.
Even if you compare offensive minds with Joe Brady and Andy Reid, no.
Yep. Absolutely.
I just can't.
I agree. The coaching and talent separate them, and maybe we're putting too much on Josh and not enough on Brandon Bean. But again, it's just about that negativity right now. We're all feeling it. Again, the expectations are very, very high for us, Pat, and
They are.
We've set that ourselves. And how about some good news? Ready for some good news?
Yes,
well, how about we do something before we pivot to that good news?
Okay.
Bills fans got to pay the bills, right? Don't we got to do that here a little bit? So let's run our bills here, and then we'll be back in 50 seconds.
For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliott Apollo's, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Do Champions. FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Do Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Do Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club for all your surfing needs.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Thank you for allowing us to pay the bills. Thank you to Do Champions. Please like and subscribe to Do Champions. We have Pat doing a lot of great work on this pod and a lot of other great shows. So come on board with us. We appreciate all the like and subscribes, especially those subscribes on YouTube. They mean everything to us.
Yes.
We really appreciate it. If you do, that would be wonderful. And Dog is I'm telling you, Dog's a mid-season form. I told you he is on a rampage.
This is playoff
Josh
mode.
on KC, yeah, he's in playoff mode already. So this is Norm for us. He sets the bar high every week, so he delivers. So
I agree with Josh.
Josh on KC.
Yep.
What do you think?
Even Philly too. Even Philly.
Philly. Well, that was the good news I was going to tell you. So the good news is that. One of my best friends is an Eagle fan. We talk all the time about the Bills. We go back and forth. He knows about our spaces, and he talks about Dale, and we talk about all our Dog. He's mentioned he loves you. He says, but he said you should have heard the Eagle fans after they lost 2 in a row, and then they had a bye week just recently. Sky's falling. Jalen Hurts is nothing. AJ Brown's getting traded. How did Jalen Hurts play this past Sunday? Can we revisit his perfect stat line on Sunday against the good Minnesota Vikings defense, please?
Yes, passer rating of 158.3, over 300 passing yards for the first time since week 3 of last year, and put the dagger in Minnesota on a 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11 to AJ Brown right in the breadbasket.
Jalen Hurts was superb. He was superb in that game, and it should show us that, hey, this is a long season, folks. We do have a long way to go in terms of getting things right. Do I expect the Bills to look this sluggish all year? Probably not. But I'm going to say this, though, just to keep it real here as we do on my side. I would say in 22 and 23 and 24, my confidence level was probably, in terms of getting the Super Bowl, maybe like an 8 to 9 at times. I really thought we had a great shot. Right now, do I feel like we could turn around? Yes. But is my confidence level at an 8 or 9 for the Super Bowl? No. I'm probably more at a 7, 6.5, 7. Like it's come down just a little bit. I feel like we do have a couple more holes to fill. There's more of a show me feeling in my thought right here, Pat. Like we just don't have the same safeties we used to have. The
Yeah.
corners, unfortunately, have been rattled with injuries. We're going to get into Maxwell Hairston a little bit later. Um, you know what I'm saying? Like we need a one receiver. We don't have a lot of cap space, but we do have a lot of guys coming back from injury. But this is the thing: we seem to find these guys continuously get banged up, and we know it's a rough sport. I'm not
Right.
criticizing in any way. It's just sometimes it's just luck of the draw. Sometimes we just get unlucky in these cases. But do you kind of feel that too, where maybe your confidence is still there, but maybe just a hair? It doesn't mean we're done, but you feel like you're just not quite as we have that team like we did in 21 to 23 or
See,
21 to 24.
when I look at our defense, right? Excuse me, going back to week 1 when this team was healthy, I look what they
Hmm.
did in that fourth quarter against Baltimore when Baltimore was healthy as well. Both teams were fully
Hmm.
healthy and ready to go. I saw what this
Hmm.
offense was able to do without trading for a wide receiver, right?
Yeah.
And I see what this defense was able to do. Credit to an Ed Oliver, strip of Derrick Henry, which is still crazy to think about. But I watched the defense get back-to-back stops when this team needed it the most. And
Hmm.
then I saw the offense put up, I believe, 15, 16 points in the fourth quarter alone, which tells me this team can do it. And I did feel the same way about after that Atlanta game where I'm kind of like, what are we missing? But then I thought about it. Yes, I think it's more of a how we lost more than it is do we have the team to do it? Because if you go back and think about it, New England beat us 23-20, right? We had
Hmm.
3 turnovers in that game, which is not like us. We just don't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
We had 2 fumbles. One was off a jet sweep. Keon Coleman had a strange fumble. Then Josh Allen had a pick. Now, that's a game that we could have, grinded out if we did not have that one last turnover.
Hmm.
But when I look at it, we were 4-2 last year. And I feel like our receiving room is a tad bit better this year than it was last year. And I feel like
Hmm.
with having Joey Bosa and having guys coming back like an Obagunjobi who has a veteran presence, Michael Hoyt who's a unicorn on the defense, I feel like we're a tad bit better. It's just we hit that stallment in the bye week could not have come at a better time. It kind of gave us kind of like a slap, a punch in the mouth where we're not this team that's just a juggernaut with the MVP quarterback. These are still professionals too. We're not just going to cakewalk everybody. At times it's going to get hard. All good teams face adversity. Look at Kansas City
Hey,
last year.
you're absolutely right. And listen, the late Dick Duran, old Bills coach from the drought years, always used to say, it's hard to win in the NFL. But he's right. It's really hard to win this league. These teams are very close. My big concern is the rush defense. And what is I know people say, well, if we give up that 80-yard run to Bijan Robinson,
I'm one of those
well,
people.
if I had three of the Powerball numbers, I would be a millionaire right now, right? No, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, I get that. I do. There are times we watch our rush defense, our run, the way that we attack the run, and it looks good. And then boom, they pop a 60-yarder off. We have to find a way to stop the big play. If we
We
do
do.
that, we will absolutely it will definitely change things. Now, also, I believe a wide receiver will help the running rush defense too, because guess what, Pat? We're going to play with a lead more often if we put up more points,
Yes, and
right?
that's what our defense is.
So that,
That's what our defense
yeah,
is at its best. Yeah.
yes, we're a play from ahead kind of team. Not that we can't close games late, but we know our defense is more comfortable when playing ahead because that
Right.
we create more turnovers. We have the speed rushers. We're built to. That's how we're
Chest
built
up
to win.
tense. Right.
Yeah. But are we built to win with the changes that have been made by other teams the last couple of years. We've moved a little bit more to a running league, right, versus a passing league, is the 4-2-5. Whittle and I talked about this last week. He doesn't think it's a big concern. I know Bruce Arians talked about it on Pat McAfee. I don't know if you saw that he thinks the Bills should scrap the 4-2-5. I thought that was pretty interesting that he said that. And I just, it's something that kind of stays in the back of my mind. Is this something that, and this is, the dog brings this up, and you alluded to it as well, Pat, about the second half of that game. We made adjustments, and maybe that's where coaching comes into play, what Dog's talking about. Why don't we get off to faster starts? I know McDermott, they like to adjust, they like to see things, but why don't we get off the faster starts? Why do we come out with this energy that Dog has every week, right? Where Dog's like ready to go to the wall. Like, you know what I mean? And I know Dog would agree with me. I can already hear him, right? Keep that energy, right? Keep that energy high. Like, why don't we come out flying right out of the gate? Why aren't we getting that 3 and out? Why aren't we getting a big sack? Why are we playing physical right off the bat to set that tone?
I agree. I wish we would do that, but maybe, think of it from a coaching standpoint, maybe it's because if we show our hand now and this game gets into a shootout, we can't get a stop. We don't have that ace up our sleeve. We don't have that. But at the same time, that's when that's the difference between a good coach and a great coach. They find a way to overcome them coming at your ace, right? When you show your ace, if they were to, get a 30-yard pass on it, okay, how do you overcome that? I wish that we would come out firing on all cylinders like that. I really wish we would. I don't. But it seems that this team is more of a second half team, and they rely on the Josh and the offense in the first half to get us a lead going into half. Because as we know, McDermott defers to start the game if he wins the toss. So this team likes playing from ahead, especially defensively, and this defense can play. It did get a little uncomfortable for this defense last week. Well, not last week. Sorry, 2 weeks ago because of the bye week. And talking about the scheme, Beyond, I look at it, and the Bills ran a lot of man in the second half with Benford on Drake London. And we saw that Drake London had more quiet of a second half than he did first half. Why?
Interesting.
Maybe it's because we're not dropping back and playing coverage. We're coming at him. We're giving Drake London no room to run. Because I believe he finished the game with over 140 receiving yards. Now maybe this is
a good point.
We transition it over to against Carolina, which I know we'll talk about here in a little bit. But it was Drake London and Bijan Robinson that beat us. And we did a pretty good job. We did a pretty good job of disguising things in the second half. But then it's like, okay, we get them to third down, then we go back to our basic we go back to our basic zone. I don't understand that. Why not just stay on their necks and just play that man, even on third down, third and long, stay on their necks? That's my question. Why switch it up on third down if the first 2 downs it was working just fine?
Absolutely. Now, Pat, you brought up some great points. Interesting about the man as well. And, I want to pivot here real quick because Steve is all fired up. A little public service announcement. 4-2 Sabres in the third. Another Josh that's going to be a very popular player in Buffalo sports. Josh Doan is the son of the great why am I drawing a blank on what his first name was? But he's Shane Doan. Shane Doan was a great player in the NHL, probably Hall of Famer. But he is one of the hardest working guys in the league. Like he will not be outworked. Like he's going to be. But yeah, so Sabres may move to 3 and 4 tonight. I know it's early, but yes, these are the kind of games you got to get. So good to see. Good to see some positivity from. Even the Sabres are giving some positivity. If the Sabres give the positivity, that may be reason for us not to get down about the Bills. So, right? I mean, I digress, but I had to put that out there.
What about a week of, just Buffalo sports coming back? The Sabres going a little bit of a run heading into the weekend.
Yeah.
And the Bills get a win too. Why not?
Yep. By the way, one more public service announcement for Steve. I'm going to talk to Matt. I got to get serious with him. Try to get some kind of Sabre stuff back on this network. We gotta get it going. I'm jonesing for it. I know it's just our schedules have been a little wonky, and it's going to get more wonky again for me. But we're going to try to figure something out. So be on the lookout for something new. Hopefully soon, we'll try to get something in the mix. But anyway, be it as it may. But why don't we pivot a little bit? We're about 40 minutes in. I want to thank you all for tuning in, for listening. It's been great. And again, I hope if you're listening, you're like, where's Whittle? Whittle's a little bit under the weather tonight, but we hope Whittle is feeling much better tonight. So I'm sure he will. We'll get him back in the mix. So hopefully he's not feeling too bad. But if Whittle misses the pod, he's not feeling well. That
Oh
I
yeah,
can
most
tell you.
definitely.
Whittle
Yeah.
Whittle is like he'll find a way on his way to work to get on the show. So he finds a way all the time. So we certainly hope he feels better. But I digress. But let's pivot to this big game. Hey, did you have this on your bingo card? 4-2 Bills against the 4-3 Carolina Panthers. Wait, what? We looked at this game before this. This is why I don't get so crazy about schedules at the beginning of the year. Because we thought this was going to be a walkover game. Who cares if the Panthers are going to be favored by 15 or 16 points? This is not a bad game now. The Carolina Panthers have shown a little heart this year. I mean,
They have.
they've been a little up and down, but they have won 3 in a row. And they have been doing something that has been the Bills' kryptonite, Pat. They've been running the football very effectively. So, we have a challenge. I mean, Rico Dowdle has been, a transformation. And for all you fantasy players out there, if you had that guy stashed, you're sitting on a gold mine the last few weeks. He has been tremendous for the Carolina Panthers. They also have Chuba Hubbard, and they also have Trevor Etienne. So they got some good running backs on this team.
They do.
As well. Offensive line, I don't know a ton about these guys, to be perfectly honest with you. They got some young guys. Damian Lewis, I believe, is an undrafted guy starting at left guard. They have their first-round pick, I believe, Ikem Equino. But I got to tell you, I wish Whittle was, I don't know if you watch Carolina that much. I got to be truthful. I haven't really paid attention to their offensive line, but I would imagine that they're playing much better in terms, especially if they're running the football with efficiency.
Right. And I believe they played the Patriots last week, if I'm not mistaken.
They did lose to the Patriots 42-20. Did they lose to the Patriots?
Yes, they
So
lost.
maybe they are not on a 3-game winning streak. I may have spoken error on that. I believe. Oh no, they actually lost to the Pats 42-21, and at New England, and they were 1-3, and they have beaten Miami, Dallas, and the Jets in New Jersey the last few weeks. So they've had a pretty good year. They did shut out the Falcons 30-0 at home.
Wow.
That doesn't that's interesting. So they've been up and down. They lost a tough one in Arizona 27-22. Jacksonville, they lost by 16. So they're to me, they're the definition of a younger team that's become almost mid, right? I don't feel like they're an elite team by any stretch. I don't feel, when I look at basically trying to stop them. And what's interesting is no Bryce Young this week, but is that a good thing?
That's it.
Because the red rifle comes in, Andy Dalton, a veteran. Now, maybe our pass rush can get home and get to him a little bit. He doesn't move like a Bryce Young does, but we'll see. What are your thoughts on that? Do you wish it was Bryce Young this game and not Andy Dalton, or do you think it's still a better thing that we're going up against the red rifle?
Well, yeah, when I look at it, I'm kind of bummed out we don't get to play Bryce Young for the fact of McDermott loves going up against the, younger quarterbacks that might be inexperienced, to where McDermott can disguise something, and kind of stress out the quarterback like McDermott and Bobby Babbitt tried doing against Atlanta. So I think there is some pros and cons to playing Andy Dalton compared to Bryce Young. Like you said, I love that you brought up the mobility. Going up against, Andy Dalton, now you don't really have to worry about Andy Dalton taking off and rushing for 10 yards and then sliding. To where you would have to with Bryce Young, because Bryce Young was sneaky fast too. But it would have been nice to go up against Bryce Young for the fact that he is a shorter quarterback. And with the guys that we have on our defensive line, like Greg Rousseau, who's 6'7". Oh, I did not do a 6'7", did I? Oh, geez. Then you also have, on the other side, AJ Epinesa, who's, I believe, 6'6". And then you have Deion Walker, who's 6'8". It would have been very hard for him to kind of see over the line. So it would have been nice. You probably would have saw some bad passes. But looking at Andy Dalton, he is a veteran. He is experienced. But he is getting up there in age. And I know the Carolina Panthers' offensive line is not the greatest. So that's why I'm going to lean towards, I'm kind of glad we're playing Andy Dalton in a way, for the fact of if our defensive line can get pressure, because just looking at it right here, the pressure rate the Carolina Panthers offensive line is not good at preventing pressure to their quarterback.
Okay.
They're not. So looking at that tells me where our defensive line has been pretty solid the last few weeks, minus in the run game, which we know Carolina is going to run the ball. Now, I think this is going to be a game where Carolina tries to establish the run, so it really doesn't matter who the quarterback is. But it's a kind of a toss-up because there's pros and cons to having Dalton playing and Bryce Young. But for me, the big thing is mobility. It feels like those quarterbacks that are not mobile are the ones who actually hurt us.
Absolutely. And again, everything with what you said about McDermott disguising things on defense, it starts to me when you stop the run game, and that's going to be the big focus this week. Do we keep Rico Dowdle in check? Do we keep Chuba Hubbard if they go with a little bit of both? We have to keep them at a very modest number. Like Whittle talked about, if it's 15 carries for 60, 70 yards, you're good. Like I'm okay with that. I just can't have 180 yards or 200-yard games for these running backs. It's just
on 15 carries and having 70-yard touchdowns. You can't have that.
Yes. So if we do that, I think we'll be just fine. A couple interesting weapons that they have on the Panthers. McMillan, Tioroya, I believe. McMillan, the phenom from Arizona, first-round pick, 6'4", 212. So he's got some size. On the outside, I believe Xavier Legette is there as well. He was a favorite of some fans to be our pick from South Carolina. He's out there. And I think they have a very underrated tight end that doesn't get a lot of play, Jatavion Sanders from Texas, 6'4", 252. Yes. So he's a guy to keep your eye on as well. Can definitely make some plays. I feel like he's the kind of guy that he's only 22 years old, by the way. So I could see maybe in a couple of years, you start looking at him, he's going to be a very, very good tight end in this league. I would definitely keep an eye out for him. So there are some guys that present some interesting matchups from our defensive side of things. But I agree with you. If we get the pressure up front, we could force, one thing about Andy Dalton, he does throw some picks. So if we could get him to throw maybe 1 or 2 picks, again, flip that field, and we could take advantage of things on our side of the ball.
Right, just force that turnover, go back to not turn the ball over. It's gonna be key in this
game. So do you have any numbers on Carolina's defense this year in terms of, I was looking at some of their players on defense. Again, this is a team that we don't talk about much here on our pod. I know they have Derek Brown back in the middle of that defense. He was out all last year, first-round pick as well. And, of course, J.C. Horn is still floating around back there as a corner. Very good player. They have some younger guys playing on this roster, but have you seen any trends or anything that we could look to in terms of what we can exploit, or what kind of numbers are they going with right now?
So like right here, I have a few, here's just a quick glance at some of the stats that I do have. Then I'll go into more of the advantages, because I was just looking at that as you said. That was kind of funny. The Bills averaged 27.8 points per game, which is 4th in the NFL. The Panthers averaged 20.7, which is 23rd. So we are averaging 7 more points than the Panthers. Point differential, we're at plus 30. Plus 30, which is 10th in the league. The Panthers are at -7, which is 20th. Now here's a good one. The Bills are 1-1 in one-score games. Beyond, do you know what the Panthers' record is in close games in 4 games?
What's that?
3-1. So it's that's scrappy, and kind of reminds you of those Jets games from a few years back, where you can't turn the ball over, you cannot let the team stay in the game. Obviously, we're not expecting the Bills to blow out anybody, because at this point, all we care about is just winning by 1, right? But just don't turn that ball over. Don't make any costly mistakes. Turnover different. Average margin of victory, 10.8 for both teams. Turnover differential, the Bills are at -1. The Panthers are at -2. Then total penalties, the Bills are at 44 and the Panthers are at 42. So both teams have been heavily penalized as of late. I know Sean McDermott said that the Bills have shined and have addressed that issue. So maybe the Bills could come out and look more cleaner than they have in the last 3 weeks. Hopefully.
Absolutely.
Because being on the road too and playing against a scrappy team, you can't keep fighting behind the chains. You can't get a 10-yard play and then go back 15 yards for a holding. You just can't.
Agree. And some of that could just be, sometimes it's who you draw as a ref. I mean, we've seen that. We talked about Hockey a lot, and our woes with Hockey was it 1-5 with Josh Allen? if I
Yep.
remember correctly. So, he tends to call a lot of penalties, and there's something like that. Listen, for any of you hockey fans out there, it works the same. Sometimes, or even umpires in baseball, some pitchers just they're better with certain umpires. Maybe they call certain part of the strike zone a little bit differently. So, they're just better matchups in this case. So, but yeah, it's definitely gonna be an interesting atmosphere in Carolina on Sunday. Again, this is a game that we did not expect to have a little juice in terms of from the Carolina side. So it's a good test for them too. I mean, this team's won 3 in a row. Coming in, here come the Buffalo Bills, a little wounded. But this bye week again couldn't have come at a better time for the Bills. So do we have now? I wanted to talk about too about a little bit about our injuries in terms
Yes.
of I'm trying to find that and see where we are because we know the bye week. We've been waiting for this to try to get better. Maxwell Hairston's window has opened up, and thank you, Pat,
Yes.
coming through in the clutch.
No problem.
And there it is. So Terrell Bernard is limited with the ankle. So we'll have to see how he progresses this week and see where we're at. Daquan Jones, DMP, I believe he's a week to week, right? Isn't that what McDermott said? More of a week to week guy at this point.
Yes.
Interesting that Kincaid is still limited with the oblique. Oblique injuries could be tricky. Sometimes they could be multiple weeks. So I don't know. I'm not sure about you. I'm not sure if he's definitely going to play, but I think that's kind of up in the air right now. If you had to ask me,
Right.
with obliques, Milano as well too. Again, we do have the Chiefs next week. Do not forget. So I don't expect Palmer to play. Would you agree? This week?
Yeah, I would not expect Josh Palmer to play because maybe this is another one of those Sean McDermott decisions where it's kind of like we should be able to win this game without him and let him rest because obviously next week is a very crucial game.
It is. Now, I believe this game is crucial too. I think because we've lost 2 in a row.
Most
If we
definitely,
would have
yes.
split the last 2 games, we could have sat a lot of these guys this week and treated it as a 2 or 3 week. We still could win without these guys, as you see listed here. I don't expect Taylor Rapp to play this week. I would not. And give Jordan Poyer another run this week. Let's see what he could do. He showed a lot last week, so we'll see how that goes on that front. So overall, not the best reports here in terms of the injuries, but just to see Maxwell Hairston at least limited is a nice sign. So I don't expect him to be there for Kansas City. Would you agree with that, Pat?
Maxwell Hairston?
Yes.
I think going back to when we drafted Maxwell Hairston, Brandon Beam said something that kind of stuck out to me. It was Maxwell is a matchup piece. And who killed us in the AFC Championship game? It was Xavier Worthy with his speed. I think I would not be surprised if we saw Maxwell Hairston out there in a very, very limited role this week, and then we saw him next week against Kansas City to try to keep up with Xavier Worthy.
Yeah. I mean, talk about baptism under fire, right? Go up against the 3-time AFC champions, the great Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in your first game in Buffalo with Tony Romo and Jim Nance in town. That's going to be
I can't wait to be there.
I mean, look at that. A little drop in for Pat. So thank you for showing the injury report, Pat. I appreciate that.
No problem.
So
and just
again,
one
it's
thing I'd like to
something
mention about this.
Absolutely. Of course.
Don't forget guys like Matt Milano and Dalton Kincaid didn't play against Atlanta. So they are looking now at 2 full weeks off. So I think that's something to monitor as well. Maybe they play this week, or do they want them healthier for next week?
Yeah.
I think both of them will play in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're both going to play as well. So I would anticipate that they will be in there. So in terms of the weather, I don't believe the weather will be much of a factor. From what I can understand this week, I'd have to check. It's that time of year that I start looking at those things. For North Carolina for 5 days. I mean, it's not exactly a winter haven or anything. I was thinking more in terms of storms that are coming up the coast, or maybe some wind, kind of like what we saw in Cleveland last week. In this, so and Steve has something here. Bills fans need to chill. We own September or current. October's a really good month to suck, is self-evaluate and get better. I agree, Steve. I do agree, but I will say the only thing that gives me pause is we're seeing the same trends from these McDermott teams every year. So I guess the negative side of me um, says, are we going to see the same results again? Are we going to get hot in November, December, and then lay an egg in January? But I don't think there's a connection between that. To be truthful, I think some of the issues we've had in January, it's been complex as to why we've had issues in January.
Right. And I just think, kind of like the month of October is kind of where teams adjust to what you're doing, and those good teams readjust and overcome those. And that's what we have been the last under Josh Allen. We have been a great team, and just in the month of October, you just got to readjust. I just think it was a few things that played a part in that, and that's just a brilliant point. We are 65 in October. Usually we go on a run.
Yeah, I mean, our November, December record, and that's usually a sign of very good coaching too. And like I said, that's what frustrates me. But I do feel what Dog is saying. I do feel about the coaching, and I do think those are the little differences. Again, we're talking about the difference between one of the best teams in sports the last 5 or 6 years to a generational dynasty team in Kansas City. And those differences aren't as big as we think. It could be this, it's not much, right? But that little bit is what's hurting us. And there's multiple reasons for that. And, maybe that, I think that also plays into the negativity we've seen from Bills Mafia this week is how good Kansas City. Now, I know they played Oakland. Did I just call them Oakland? Oakland of Las Vegas of LA, whatever they are. They're just the Raiders. Do they even need a city anymore? Just call them that, whatever. So, yeah. And this is interesting too, that Dog says, I listened to McDermott talk to the media today. Don't have an identity. Unacceptable. Listen, Dog, I agree with you. Now, that better change in the next month. We better start getting that identity. And that's the other thing too. What are the 2025 Buffalo Bills? What are they?
That's a good question. I'll say they are a team that has a very good running game. And the last few weeks, I feel like they have not really tried to enforce their will with running the football. They haven't been playing power football like they were in the first few weeks. So I feel like this is a team with a very good quarterback. And that's a very good question. Just a team that should. Oh wow. Dang, that one actually got me. Dang.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of leads as the Dog said, and maybe McDermott's right. Maybe that's a little message he's sending to his team, Dog. Maybe that's
what I was saying too. Yes.
I mean, but that's something that is on the coaching staff, and this is Steve brings up a good point about Edmonds, who are our former DC. I mean, he did take criticism. 13 seconds was his undoing.
Yeah,
and and there were a lot of reasons for that. It was the fact that Levi Wallace was playing. We lost Trey.
Not Trey White, right.
But again, the other thing about this team is, listen, San Francisco 49ers are banged up across the board. You see how good that defense is playing?
Yeah, they just held Atlanta to 10 points.
I'll tell you, I wish we hired Robert Saleh as our defensive coordinator. I digress. But, like he says, as far as Josh goes, and he's off and the Bills are off. Yeah, there's some truth to that, Dog. There really is. Josh, sometimes he gives me Marino vibes. I mean, truthfully, if any of you old heads out there know Dan Marino, when Dan Marino was on, man, that team was as good as anybody. But man, when he had an off game, and that could be part of it too. But again, I agree with you. I think I think we need to be identified more as a running team as well, but we also need more from just number 4. Jimbo's great, but I want to see a return of the Ray Davis we saw. And this is and mental tenacity. The 49ers have a great coaching staff. I'll tell you what, I would trade coaching staffs right now. If we trade coaching staffs right now, we're winning a Super Bowl. I'll tell you right now.
Oh yeah.
We take the 49ers staff right now, we are winning a Super Bowl, folks.
Oh, no doubt about that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think Robert Saleh, I've said it before in here many times, I thought he got a raw deal with the Jets. Going back when we had Babbage, I wish we had an opening then. I wish we would have threw the kitchen sink at Saleh to come here and coach our defense.
I'm sure you wanted to get back at the Jets for firing them.
Not even that. But yeah, that's always a nice little perk. But at the same time,
Right.
so
Now, I will say this. I do like what Jordan Poyer said. I don't know if anybody caught it, but in one of the interviews, he said that on Monday during their bye week, they all went into the facility, put on shoulder pads, and started learning how to tackle again.
Mm-hmm.
To get better at tackling, because the last few weeks, Jordan Poyer said they have not been good at tackling. They've been bad at it.
Yeah.
So I like the sense of urgency to be like, okay, we got to get things right now.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I love that it's Jordan Poyer that said that too. Because now we have a chance to see him again on Sunday. I love that.
It's frustrating this year with and listen, what Steve said is right. Yeah, it's 6-5 in October, but this was supposed to be the easy part of our schedule. The schedule's not getting any easier, folks. But again, Carolina's going to be a little more difficult than we thought. We're going to get into our preview and our picks here in a little bit.
Yep.
But then we got the big one against Kansas City. We still got to go play Pittsburgh. That's not going to be easy. Houston on a Thursday night short week. I don't know where Houston's headspace is right now, but that's still a tough place. They still got some good players.
Neil Hunter,
right? Cincinnati,
Will Anderson. Yeah.
Cincinnati, will they have Joe Burrow? Where are they at? They may be, listen, I can I just say something, dog? I need to get this guy in the locker room. I need to get dog in there, riled up before this game, set this defense straight. They'll be coming out, hitting everybody, tackling everybody. We play the most physical game, right?
Oh yeah.
So,
and I told Dog before a few years back. I don't know if he remembers, but I'm like, I wish you were my high school football coach.
Yeah, I
would love to have Dog just find a way to give a speech.
I know, just one time, yes.
Into the locker room, just one time.
Just one time. I'm telling you, they'll never be the same. They will never be the same. Yep. I
can hear Dog's voice now.
Yep. Absolutely. But yes, so Melissa, we need to get back to that identity, and we need to get back to that Bills football that we've been accustomed to, but with a little bit more of an edge, right? Like Whittle said, sometimes we need guys that are violent. We need a little more violence in up front. That's why I wish we drafted out for Collins, to be honest. Those are the kind of guys I was looking for. But Deion Walker is a good step to that. Deion Walker has been he's a thumbs up. He's been an arrow up guy. He has been excellent. I mean, Whittle, of course, this time last year, he talked about him way before anybody else. Yep. And I agree with Dog. I mean, I'm telling you, I could just see the video. I could see Jordan Poyer have that same look on his face that he had when Kyle Williams gave his speech, right? Which, that's still one of my favorite parts of that video is when Kyle Williams is giving a speech, and you just see Jordan Poyer is so focused. I mean, he is like, and he's ready to go. Like, he is pumped. I love that. So, but let's pivot. Yeah. Oh, by the way, public service announcement, ladies and gentlemen, the wagon known as the Buffalo Sabres, 4-2 victory over Detroit tonight, improved to 3-4. So there we go. So, but let's, at least they're saving their season. So, but again, maybe that's a lesson for as we pivot to the Bills, right? Sabres rolling 3. Everybody says drought's going to continue. Sell the team. Pagula done. Everything's finished, and here they are, 1-3 in the last 4. This is what being a fan is about. So let's pivot to Carolina this week. In terms of what you expect, I believe for you bettors, I believe the Bills are a 7.5-point favorite this week. If I saw, but I haven't seen it lately.
You see, I'm looking at it right now. The Bills per DraftKings,
Mm-hmm.
the Bills are a 7-point favorite. The over/under on the game is 46.5, and the money line is in Buffalo's favor at -380.
Right, 380. That's quite a little bit of cheddar you got to throw to win $100. 380 for all you at home. That means you got to bet $380 to win 100 with no point spread, and the Bills have to win the game. So it's a lot of money, but that's why it's so high. But let's not. Well, for those that again, bet responsibly. So
yes,
and I agree with this. Are the Bills going to get this back? This attitude that we are the Buffalo Bills, that we are the team with the second best record in sports since 2019. We've talked about it. That we're the 5-time defending AFC East champions. Here come the New England fans. They're dusting off their jerseys, right? They're
Tom
going
Brady
in there. The
jerseys too.
cobwebs are flying out with the old Rob Gronkowski jerseys. They're like, hey, what's all this dust and stuff? We're getting all this up. Oh, we're back on our
Well,
bandwagon. Here comes the chatter. Right here comes the New England fans again. Here they come. So
just until we rip their
and
souls out, just like how we did
yeah,
Miami in Week 18.
and you know what? Can I tell you why I'm a little bit happy about this development with the Patriots?
Why?
Because put the Bills on the back burner right now. I just need to get the Bills right. I don't care about winning the media. Let the media go gaga over New England. Let them go crazy about how they're playing Rutgers next week and they're playing Penn State the week after. I'm being funny with their schedule, but because it's so light. But let them. It's fine, and it's going to push the Bills. Sometimes it's good that they're going to be pushed. So that game changed the whole season. So do the Bills come out this Sunday in Carolina and get that mojo back? What say you?
I'm gonna say yes. I think losing back-to-back games and then going on a bye week where the Bills are 8-0 under Sean McDermott on bye week. I think Monday, like I just spoke on with Jordan Poyer, saying they went into the facility, put on their shoulder pads, they started tackling. I think this is a team where we talked about identity. I thought about the Bills' identity is a team where everybody contributes. And I think on Sunday, the team's going to want to come out with that burning passion. Sitting on the couch for the last week, they're going to come out and they're going to want to hit somebody. They've heard all the noise. It's time to go back playing Bills football. I think we see that Sunday. They're going to come out with that chip on their shoulder. And this team plays their best when they have a chip on their shoulder.
Absolutely. Do you have a score prediction for me? Do you have some
31-23 Buffalo.
31-23 Buffalo. All right. So we have it there. I want to hear your guys' picks in the fact. Hey, I'll tell you, Steve, you're hitting some good ones too tonight. Patriots are back. Robert Kraft will be back in massage parlors soon. Yeah. Yep. Yep. You can send tips to my Venmo now, so maybe he doesn't have to, give cash anymore. So anyway, we're trying to keep this a family-friendly show, folks. But no, this is usually about the time when things go off the wagons anyway, right around 10:16 at night. Somewhere Whittle's ears are ringing. He doesn't even know why. So,
Ken Dorsey?
Oh, that may get him to Whittle just that meme with like the guy, it's like the wrestling was it the guy, the Undertaker, he just gets out of the wheelchair. He gets right up. That's Whittle right now. Yep. He's just getting right up now. He's coming on. No, but anyway. I'm gonna go a little deeper on this game. I do think the Eagles inspire me this past week. And it's weird to say, why would the Eagles inspire me? Again, the Eagles are very messy. They've had some injuries. They've had some offensive line issues, which they still have, right? They still got some things, but they're starting to get healthy, just like the Bills, right? The Bills, they're not quite there yet, but I think this is a game where I think this team's going to be a little angry on Sunday. I think we're going to come out with that intensity. I think we're going to get up early in this game, and I think we're going to pile it on. I think the Bills I think this is a get-right game for this offense. In terms of Josh Allen's production, I could see possibly a 300-yard week from Josh that we haven't seen since week one, if I remember correctly. Again, but our good friend Dale brought up a great point today in his space. He said we have to remember that guys like Allen and Mahomes don't cook every single week. They just don't. Now, you know what I mean? Now, Mahomes looks like it sometimes. But we forget that there are games he throws 28 times for 190 yards. It does happen.
It does.
Right?
It does.
It does happen. We focus on all these highlights. We focus on all these things we see on social media. But there's going to be some games where your guy is just okay. Right? So Josh has had it. Now, I need more out of Josh Allen. I'm calling out number 17 this week. It's about time. Don't be afraid to call out Josh. You know why? Because I could guarantee you he's the first one that would sit there and look you in the eye. You know what he'd tell you, Pat? You can do that. I make $50-60 million a year. That's my job. My job is to be Superman, like Dog said, right? He has to be that guy. He doesn't have to be it every week, but there are certain weeks where I need Josh to be Superman. And I feel like this is a week I need it.
It is.
Because I need to get – you ever see that it's one of my favorite clips of all time. It's that high school in Michigan, I think, where the guy goes, "I think I got my swagger back," and he goes, "Huh, huh,"
Oh,
and he
I
leads
got
it.
my
It
swagger
is one of the
back.
great. And that's what I need from the Bills this week. I should have had it on repeat here, but
Oh,
that's
that
what
would
I
be awesome.
need from the Bills this week. I need to
Yes.
hear, "I got my swagger back," and I think to the tune of 37-17, we get that swagger back this week. Nice 20-point win in Carolina. We cover the spread. We cover the over. I could see Josh Allen throwing 3 touchdowns this week and running for another one of those special games. Cook has a nice game, doing his thing. Jimbo doing quietly as he always does, and I could just see, a just that kind of week. That's what a dog has too. He's got a nice
Oh,
big win this
there
week too.
is
So
Mike.
there we go. So
Now,
I got a nice. What's that?
I was gonna ask you, what are your keys to victory?
Keys to victory. Keys to victory: protect Josh, of course. Limit
Yes.
turnovers. Get pressure on Andy Dalton to force those couple of mistakes
Yep.
that we need to do. Listen, a lot of these games come down to a few big plays, as we know,
Yes.
right? A few big moments. Teams move the ball. Carolina's going to move the ball a little bit here and there. But what do they do when they get close? Do we get a big interception? Do we flip that field? Do we get the big special teams play? Does Josh make the big play? Those are the things I'm looking for. And to do that, you got, of course, line of scrimmage is everything. I need, and in terms of, again, keep the running game, like Whittle said. If Dowdle plays most of the snaps and he gets 15 carries for 70, I'll sign up for that today. I'm good.
All day.
No problem. All day long. If they, even if they run for like 120 yards on 25 carries, I'm good. I could live with that. I can't have 200 plus. That's where we're going to get in trouble. I don't expect Andy Dalton to torch us in terms of the passing game. So I think we're going to get to him. I think we're going to have multiple sacks. And we'll see. Hey, we'll see the new shiny toy, Michael Hoyt, make his debut this week.
Yes,
We'll
the
see what he can
unicorn.
do. The unicorn, we'll see what he could do. I think he makes a big play this week. I think he comes up big and gets a sack
Strip
and gets
sack.
something going. A little strip sack, something. I think we force a couple turnovers. But those are the keys to me. The keys to me,
I like those.
I'm a broken record with the running game, with the rush defense. And I've been saying that for years. I feel like if you could keep a team one-dimensional, even at Kansas City, I think you have to keep. It starts there because Mahomes is gonna, plays. Yeah, there you go,
There we
dog.
go.
Gap
Yes.
integrity. Yes.
I'm gonna add
Do
on to this.
your damn job. Listen, go ahead, Pat. You tell me your keys to the game.
Stay ahead of the chains. Don't stay behind the chains. Convert early and get the Panthers off the field. There was too many times, even against Carolina, even against New England, those third and longs, they were converting. Get off the field early, and like Bobby Babbage said in Hard Knocks, get the ball back to 17. So get ahead of the chains, and get off the field early defensively, and attack that offensive line because they are ranked, I believe, 31st or 32nd in pass protection. Attack that offensive line. Go right at them.
I love it. I love it. But again, like Dog said, let's start establishing that identity known as Buffalo Bills football this week. This has to be the one. This is the kind of game. I want to see ball cap Josh in the fourth. I want to see Mitch Trubisky with a few attempts this game.
That would be nice. It would be nice.
And I want to hear the announcers talk about, well, next week as we go to Buffalo, 425. So, yeah, you got a fan and Dog. Look at that. There you go. That's what
Dog, always appreciate you.
Dog, you're the best, man. We couldn't do this without you, and your feedback is always tremendous. But that's where I'm at with this game. I was, I think I was kind of down. It was kind of weird, like the last few days. You know how you're always thinking of the season? Like I feel like the last couple of days, I feel like it's been so long since we played these bye weeks. I had to get recharged, so we just needed this pod. And again, does this mean our issues are over? Oh no! I mean, even if we win this game by 20, we still have things to work on. And
there's always room to improve. Always.
Yep.
And that's the winning mentality.
Absolutely, and that's the winning mentality we got to get back to, because we're going to need that going into Kansas City. Because if we get the 5-2 this week, and if we win next week at 6-2, all those negative naysayers, all those conversations they're going to flip, and the swagger is back, and then we can go forward from there. Oh, I need that soundbite now.
Swagger back.
It's just one of the greatest moments in the history of of football, in my opinion.
Right?
So, yeah. So those are my picks. That's really all I had today. I don't really have anything else to offer. Do you have any hot takes for the other games this weekend? I mean, anything that sticks out to you? Any upset specials or anything you want to talk about throughout the NFL this week? Because I do
Yeah,
have
first,
one.
so do I. The Chicago Bears are going to beat the Baltimore Ravens by 10 plus.
Really?
That Bears team's playing good. That defense is playing some lights out football. Tremaine Edmonds had an interception last week. They had 4
Speaking of,
turnovers. It was against Spencer Rattler. Yeah, speaking of Tremaine Edmonds,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And
And speaking of lights out, have you seen that video on Lamar Jackson getting some food late recently in the city of
no,
Baltimore?
everybody, in one of my group chats, I'm in with a few friends. We're talking football.
Let's
They're
just
like, "Oh, you
say,
see the video of Lamar?" I'm like, "Huh? What video are you
and
guys
listen,
talking about?"
I got no issue with this. He's on an off night. He can do whatever he wants. Let's just say Lamar was feeling pretty nice at that moment in time. You know,
Oh,
little
okay, I did hear
living
about that.
the
Yep.
high life, so to speak. So, but again, that's his lot. If he doesn't do that for game days, if he doesn't do that in practice, I got no issue with it. I
Sweet.
mean, it's
Yeah,
perfectly
live your
fine.
life.
Yeah, he can do whatever he wants. So, but then it just goes to show you there's cameras everywhere. Here's my hot take for the week.
Okay.
Upset special. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to be very happy with this one. The dogs are going to bark again this week. Cleveland Browns walk into New England and get a W in New England to shock the New England Patriots this week.
That would be flipping phenomenal.
I feel like
If
New
that
England's
is, ooh,
due for a letdown. And
they
now
are.
the only little thing that gives me pause, I'll tell you, Quentin Junkins has been phenomenal for the Browns.
Yeah,
He's
Junkins is
been
a stud.
But that team is, they got some players and they got guys on defense that maybe they can give May fits. I'm going to go with a little. I wish this game was in Cleveland. That's the only trepidation. That's the one thing about New England that scares me. They do stop the run, so we'll see how they do this week. But that's my upset special of the week. And wouldn't that be something if we get first place right back again? And then Kansas City's coming into town. Pat's going to Buffalo. He will be there, probably partying up with Lee Sean. And I think Whittle may be going
Yes,
to
I
that
actually
game
did
too.
text Lee Sean. Actually, I said, "Are you going to be at the games? I want to meet you." He goes, "Yes." He goes, "Yes, brother. I'll be there. Meet me at the."
Asking Lee Sean if he's at a Bills Chief game is asking me if I'm going to have coffee tomorrow morning. I mean, Lee Sean, Lee Sean's going to be at the game.
I know. Yeah. So I'm happy. I'm going to be able to meet Lee Sean, and yeah, it's going to be a great.
Oh yeah, Lee Sean's a treat. Lee Sean is exactly the same way as he is on the spaces when you meet him in person.
Awesome.
There's no difference. Same as Whittle. They're both like I still like that Jet game we went to. That was the best part. It wasn't we lost, but I didn't care. We had such a great time at the tailgate. It was worth it. So definitely get over there. And I hope you have a great trip. And Pat, I want to thank you so much for on short notice coming on today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Taking the spot of the great one, as Whittle is called, or
The Almighty.
what is the Almighty? That's
Almighty
what
Whittle
Stu
2K.
calls it, the Almighty, the
Yes.
best. I love it. So Whittle, again, we hope you feel better, and I'm sure he'll be back better never next week. Pat, you were always a friend of the show. You're always welcome. We love your input. So again, for everybody out there. Yeah, I agree. And Dog, I wish I would have gotten a chance to meet you one of these. But one of these years, we'll connect for sure. I know we will. I'll try to get out east as I'm heading to Asia in December. So I will, for Christmas, I will be all the way in the Philippines. So it'll be interesting. I don't know if I told you guys this story. Bills Eagles. I'm flying home in the middle of that game. It's a 13-hour flight. I'm going to be going nuts for that game, and I'm going to get home. Nope, my phone's going to be off. Right? By the way, look at that! Look at that screen protector. Look at that right there. You can see a little Josh Allen right on the front. So there you go. So nice. There you go.
Yeah.
So I got a 13-hour flight. My phone's going to be off. I'm coming home. And my uncle's he's got the Fubo TV. He's got it all. He's got the NFL Plus, and I'm going to watch it like I haven't watched it. And I'm going to watch it at night. So, and I'm going to watch another game over in Buffalo too. I think Bills Browns. I think I'll be in Manila. I got to check and see if they have a fan club out there. You think I'm crazy? They might.
Really?
They might. Listen, when I went to Prague, when I went to Prague, Czech Republic, I'll leave you with this: Bills Patriots. Saturday night. Do you remember when John Brown caught that big touchdown and he did his wild dance on a Saturday night? Right?
Yes.
Dog, you probably remember this game too. Yes, but we lost that game 24-17. I was in a bar in Prague at 3 in the morning watching it with 7 other Bills fans with laptops all around with Wi-Fi connections watching on a stream. Tremendous. Like
That
you want to
is
talk about
awesome.
dedication? That is dedication, folks. So we'll see if I'll see if there's anything going on. Maybe I'll introduce the Bills to some
We have
brethren out
to.
there.
We're
In
worldwide. Bills Mafia is worldwide.
that
Keep it
is as
going.
worldwide as it gets. It's complete opposite time
Hell
zone. So
yeah.
we flip the day around. So, but those games will be on at if the game is 1 o'clock Sunday, it's 1 a.m. on Monday morning in Manila. So it's an overnight
Is it
game.
really?
Yeah, because they're 12 hours ahead. So you have to.
Oh
So
yeah, 'cause
that's gonna be fun.
They
Yeah,
play Philadelphia at 4:25 Eastern time and
yeah. That
Cleveland
I'm
at 1
flying.
o'clock.
Yeah, with Cleveland, so I'll be a 1 a.m. Monday game. So I'll be up nice
Woo!
in the
Get
middle of the
up
night.
early.
Yeah,
Woo!
I'm jet lagged, so it's perfect. I wouldn't even know what time it is. So who knows? But anyway, let's get off that subject. But thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate it. And again, look for us next week. We'll recap the Panthers game. We'll move to the showdown against the Kansas City Chiefs. Who knows who will show up on our pod for that one? That should be a great show. Let's hope we're 5-2 going into that and set the table for yet another chapter in the great saga known as Mahomes versus Allen. So that's all I had.
Get your swagger back. Get your swagger back and
It's
go play
yep.
Bills football.
Go play Bills football and go Bills and have a great night, everyone.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.